All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Greetings for the Garden State, powered by the New Jersey Lottery. I'm your host, Mike Ham. We're here at Triple S in Bloomfield, New Jersey, with Joe Scacciaferro. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This
Absolutely.
is great.
Oh, come on, man. There you go.
Sorry. I used to hold the mic.
Yeah, it's tough being on the other side of the camera.
Yes.
You know? Okay. This place, I've driven by here, so I live in Bloomfield and have since January, so not for too long, but I've driven past this place a bunch, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what that place is. We eat it in the Nevada Diner all the time.
Right.
This is a really important place for you,
right?
Because all the stuff that we're about to talk about kind of kicked off here, right?
In Triple S, yeah.
So what is Triple S, and why is
Triple
it important?
S? Okay, so first off, the name.
Yeah.
The name come as actually synthesizer servicing specialist was back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, just want to make it hard for people to actually say that name.
Yeah, try to answer your phone. Hello, synthesizer servicing specialist. Especially when you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah, right.
And that's how it was.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to give you the history of how this all changed, but it's, I don't know, 30 years now, something like that. I could ask Carl, who's back there. So anyway, that was it. This is the kind of the roots. The one in Belleville on Washington Avenue was the place. That's where we started. And then we just pioneered synthesizers as that industry grew and got huge. We were on the forefront of it, and we were one of the only people who knew anything about it, knew how to tech it, knew how to hack them, and that's what we did. So we ended up doing from just small music stores to world tours and handling all of the keyboard rigs. And then eventually we became everything, building studios, so forth and so on.
Well, so what were you doing before synthesizers stuff? Because I feel like that, when synthesizers first became a thing, it wasn't like there was a lot of people servicing them.
No, there wasn't. There weren't even synthesizers.
Servicing specialists. There we go. That was kind of close. So that must have been it's still a new thing at that point in time. So what were you doing before? Then you're just like, you know what? Synthesizer is going to be the thing.
Before that, I was a black bass player in funk bands, and that's kind of where my roots were. I grew up in Irvington, New Jersey, and that was what I played. That's where that's kind of where I was. So I was always, my aspirations were to be a musician.
Right.
I always wanted to play. Did well. Got kind of pushed that along, but I also, because I'm Sicilian, we have to do everything with our hands, and I kind of figured out how to hack my guys on the bands. I would start hacking their amps. I would start being able to do this, so we'd fix it because musicians are all broke ass.
Yeah.
So,
aren't we all?
So I learned how to do that, and that kind of evolved, and synths came out, and it was just, I was working in the back shop of a music store, changing tubes in tube amps.
Yeah.
Nobody even knows what a tube is. So exactly. So I was so we did that, and then one of the keyboard salesmen told me about this synthesizer. That person happened to be, we're lifelong friends. He went on to play with Zappa and everything else, and he's monstrous.
Yeah.
But Steve DeFury and I just became really close, and I kind of just followed his coattails as he evolved. And then Triple S became national. Yeah. We had several. We were in South Jersey. We were all over the place. And we were touring, and we were a mega show for a long time.
So you mentioned touring there, because I think that's another piece of the Joe Scacciaferro puzzle of just doing events and live producing stuff and all that kind of stuff. That kind of stems from Triple S, right? Is that kind of where it comes from?
Triple S gave me... In order to succeed in the entertainment industry, especially on the production side, you have to have connections. Yeah. You got to network. And there's no way to learn that. Right. But you have to do that. So Triple S gave me, and I'm not synthesizer, Triple S gave me the entree. Yeah. Because I met heavy hitters who were all synth players, who were all in mega bands. So I started making those connections, which got me into the recording studios in New York. So I started engineering, and we started building recording studios. Yeah. Because I have that dual brain thing going. So I was on the creative side and the music side, and then I was also tech. So, because everybody in our business is also cheap.
Sure.
So if they can hire an engineer who can actually open the board up and fix it,
Yeah.
God bless you. We're only paying you one rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of how that moved me into that level of the industry.
Yeah. When you start going into all these different things, because we're going to get into more of the stuff that you've done since then. One of the things, just because you and I have talked about this quite a bit, is like this kind of just say yes and do it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That to me is like one of the things that I admire the most about you, because I feel like in some ways I'm the same way, but just in a sense of like synthesizers, it's going to be a thing. And you're like, let's do it, or like then engineering and doing all these other things where maybe like you had some experience before that, but in some cases, none.
Most of the time, none.
And then just saying yes and just figuring it out and making it happen. I think that's, I feel like a lot of people get leery of that.
Yeah.
It's like, if I don't know how to do that, so I'll just say no, and nobody will know that I don't know how to do that job.
Yeah, no, I'm real good at failing.
Yeah.
I got that cold.
Got it down pat.
So that once you get past that fear,
Yeah.
then anything's possible.
Sure.
Like, what's the worst that's gonna, in my head? I mean, everybody who knows me all these years, they'll always hear me say, "I don't care. I'll go back to framing houses."
Yeah.
It doesn't make a difference to me. I love doing it. It's a lot of fun. But if I find out I can't, or if you tell me what I'm doing is not good, then I'll go do something else.
Yeah.
I don't worry about. I mean, I talk more about the gross mistakes I've made throughout my career than I do about the opportunities and the successes.
Yeah.
Because the successes are usually based on right place, right time,
Sure.
surrounded by the right people.
Yeah.
Failures are all on you.
Yeah. Yeah, there was no person around, no one there to help.
No,
no one there to like pull you out of the
You
swamp.
made a stupid decision, and you're going to pay for it.
Yeah. One of the things you also mentioned earlier too was the fact that you, when you start these businesses, like the media and entertainment business, is very much built on relationships and all that kind of stuff. And I'm curious if there were moments in time, and maybe you were just doing so much stuff that you had no idea, but like a pinch me moment at any point, we're just like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm working with X.
Yeah.
And I can imagine the list is long.
It's interesting you're saying that.
Yeah.
One of the things I have, any younger person that's worked with me who's never been in these places, I usually always make them, before we go do a gig, if we're walking out on the garden, if we're walking into a major tour, if I'm walking onto the field of a Super Bowl, I'll always tell people, when we get there, before anything happens, take a breath,
Yeah.
look around, and go, holy shit.
Yeah.
Look where I am. I said, because if you don't do that, you're not going to get the moment.
Sure.
The magnitude of that is so cool.
Yeah.
I never really aspired to those moments. I just kept going along. But then every once in a while, like you just said, I have to recall. Whoo! I'm standing on the stage. I just wrote a song and recorded Ray Charles.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm standing on the stage with The Who.
Yeah.
It's kooky.
It is. It's like
like
hard to even like fathom that. It's like an out of body experience, I would imagine.
No, totally. And then you realize where you came from.
Yeah.
And go, I'm going to get caught at some point.
Yeah. Somebody's
Somebody's going to come up and
be
say,
out pretty
"Excuse
soon.
me, give me your credential. Get out of here. What are you doing?"
Right.
So, and I still, to this day, with all the things and all the places I've been blessed to be and all the coolness that I've been given, I still get a rush out of any. I get a kick nervous driving up here to do this podcast.
Well, I'm a really intimidating guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the beard. It's always the beard. You mentioned Ray Charles there, and I think that there's a cool story that we can tell on this show about you and Ray Charles putting a song together, right?
Yeah.
And producing that and all that.
That's actually my transition out of the music industry, because that's always, people always ask me, that's the first thing I get asked all the time. How did you get into broadcast?
Yeah.
From music? Yeah, you got all these music connections, but that doesn't translate.
Sure.
So again, my life is, if Thomas Edison and what was his name, Tom Hanks's part, please.
In what?
Oh yeah, that's right. He's done a couple of movies.
Yeah, one or two.
Forrest Gump.
Castaway. Yeah, okay.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
If Thomas Edison and Forrest Gump had a kid, it would be me.
Yeah.
Because it's just I stumble along and things
Sure.
happen and
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
You just keep running,
and
you
I just
know.
keep running.
Yeah.
And down that. So my first daughter was born early '80s. Happened to be born with Down syndrome, which I knew nothing about.
Sure.
But it was like, all right, this is that.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll get through this. And coming from where I came from, the neighborhood, trust is not a big part of living in that environment.
Sure.
So everybody's got an angle. There's always you always got to keep your eyes open because something's coming. When my daughter was born, for 5 years, these volunteers came out of nowhere. Most magnificent people I've ever met, and nobody asked me for anything.
Yeah.
And I kept waiting for that to happen, and it never happened.
Here's your bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, oh, by the way,
Yeah.
you owe me.
Yeah.
It never happened. Never came out. So at the end of 5 years, she left the, what was a private program, and then she moved into the school system. So again, as I said, as a Sicilian, you don't carry debt well. I don't like to owe anybody anything. So I said, okay, I have to do something for that community. So I said, oh, I write music. I'm a musician. I'm heavily connected.
Yeah.
I said, I'll write a song about my experience with the Downs community and all the things that I learned from being in that community. So I wrote the song, Learn to See, which was, your mind's eye. I learned to see better. I see clearly. I understood stuff.
Yeah.
So I did the song, and again, not name dropping, but at the time I was working with
You can
Triple
name
S.
drop, it's fine.
It was with Springsteen and Whitney. We
Sure.
were doing stuff. So I asked, hey, would you be willing to, I wrote the song as a duet. I wrote it with a friend of mine, Bobby Wooten, who's a Sony record producer. And we got it. Then they got into a whole label thing, blah, blah, blah. So I moved on.
Yeah.
Ray Charles and I had been friends. I admired Ray my whole career. He's
Naturally.
yeah. Even if you took away his musical skills, which you can't.
Yeah.
The dude's outrageous.
Yeah.
He's just he was hysterical. He was great. He was great to be around, and he was just really, really a warm person. So anyway, Ray and he was in New York. He was hanging at the Helmsley. We went into his suite, and Ray and I were talking. It was just him and I, and he could tell I was kind of funked out. And he goes, what's wrong? And I was like, no, I want to get into it. He said, no, I want to know. So I told him, I said, listen, I did this song for my daughter, blah, blah, blah. It didn't work out. And now I'm sitting here, and I thought it was going to be something that I could really give back with, and it would be something. And Ray just got dead silent, which is impossible for him.
Yeah.
And I was like, now what's wrong with you? He said, you wrote a song about your daughter, and you didn't ask me to sing it. My response was, no, I didn't, because you're effing Ray Charles.
Yeah.
And he said, I want to do it. I was like, okay. So we recorded special. Ray did it. Bobby produced it with me. And then I happened to be, this is so weird, all these connections. So one of the guys at Triple S, wife, worked with the video director for the New York Giants.
As it has, as one does.
Right. So he's a big rock fan.
Yep.
And said, hey, could you ever get me backstage? And I said, yeah, if you could get me to see a Giants game.
Sure.
Because I was a big Giants fan. So it keeps moving. The story gets forever. So the next thing that happens is we turned around and I said, we got the song recorded. Song was great. So I started trying to get it circulated. It was around when MTV actually played video. And everybody told me you can't circulate a song without a video.
Sure.
I was like, oh, great. And I went, oh, wait a minute. I know. So I called him up and I said, listen, I got to do a video. You have access. I have no money. So this is all pro bono.
Yeah.
Everything we've done so far. And when I told him, Ray had done it,
Right.
that kind of opens a lot of doors.
Sure.
So he pulled together camera guys. We got camera. I never, as you said a few minutes ago, I was like, yeah, I could direct it.
Totally. Yeah,
I have
right.
no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I have no idea how any of this works.
Yeah.
So friends of ours, again, Triple S connections, friends of ours that own SIR, which is Studio Instrument Rentals, huge room, West Coast, East Coast, Nashville, gave us their A room in New York.
Yeah.
Because I got Ray.
Right.
So I said, we're going to shoot this music video with Ray. Ray's never done a music video ever.
Is that true?
He's never done he has performance videos.
Sure, yeah, but not like a true music video. Wow, that's crazy.
The only one is the one we did.
Wow.
He didn't do it after either.
Yeah.
So again, we flew him out because I had. I know I'm landing on a hard story here.
No, go.
So after he recorded this for me for free, we went back and forth. Now I got to go call him up again and say, I need a music video. And I called Ray. I was like, dude, I got a problem. I explained it to him. He goes, all right. He said, you're going to pay for me to get out there. I said, yeah, I'll pay for you to get out here. No problem. So we flew him out.
You cool flying coach? Is that right?
Yeah. I'm going to send a car.
Yeah, right.
I was pre-Uber because I would have sent an Uber to get him.
Sure, yeah.
So we get to this thing. We start doing the music video. And we go through the whole process, and then I go into a video edit, and we're cutting the piece together, and it's intercut with a bunch. We went out and shot the Downs community in every possible scenario.
Yeah.
From infant stem all the way through. Interviewed a bunch of people, and then I just fell in love with the medium because I went, this is the best storytelling in the world.
Yeah.
I said I can combine every piece of what I do because I love writing. So I said I can combine everything and do this. But I had no into the industry.
Sure.
The guy from the Giants, coincidence again, or blessings, it's your call. I get a call from him, and he said, listen, Fox just bought into the NFL. And they were a renegade network when they first came out.
Yeah.
Everything they did was like off the charts, different. And they said they bought into the NFL, and local markets now have to produce a team show, but they don't care about sports fans. They want to attract females and the X generation. X generation is probably you.
I'm a millennial, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a baby.
Older. Well, I'm 34. So millennials are old now. Not old.
Well, X generation or what then? 50?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Actually.
Doesn't matter.
I think it goes millennials, then Gen X, then Gen Z, then whatever's now. I think they're behind us.
Not X generation.
Oh, they're ahead of us.
Because it had to be in the 90s. Because it was 94 when,
then
when Fox
it's
came.
X, them, X, us, then Z, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll leave it alone. So,
Sure.
so go back to it. He calls me up and he said, listen, we got to do this. And I know you're heavy into the whole music scene and you're doing this and you did that. You did a great job on the Ray thing. He said, you want to produce a show with us? Sure.
Yes. Yeah, right.
I said, yeah, I can do that. Mm-hmm. So I went in and I lucked out with a phenomenal editor out of New York, and him and I just hit it up, Joe Barron. We just hit it off great. And we would throw in sound effects and music, stuff that was never, ever done before.
Yeah.
So we hacked up sports like really bad, and which is now what you see.
Yeah.
So
the whole broadcast.
Right. The whole broadcast. We did all of that. Me and Carl Del Piano, who now runs Triple S, we'd be here till I'd leave my edit at like 11, 12 o'clock at night, and then I would come to Triple S. Carl and I would set up a mixer, set up a bunch of things, and in real time, we would play the music to the tracks, and we would add in the sound effects, and we would do all that till about 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and then I'd take that tape, go back to the video studio, and lay it back in. So
it wasn't live. It was
all to tape.
Okay.
Everything. It was a what they call magazine segment.
Yeah.
So it was a magazine show. Da 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 da. So I kind of cut my chops on a network show.
Yeah.
And got there, and 6 months after I was hired to do that, we were nominated for an Emmy, and I won my first Emmy 6 months into broadcast.
With all your experience.
With all that experience.
Yeah.
And it's the last part of the story, then we can move on. So I go to the Emmys, you don't know if you're winning.
Yeah.
So then I won. So I go up to the acceptance. I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing. And I'm looking out to all these network executives. They're all suit and ties. They're all not me.
Sure.
And I said, hey, I want to thank you guys for the da-da-da-da. It was great. He said, I kind of feel bad because you've spent your careers aspiring to this moment.
Yeah.
I've been doing it 6 months. Peace.
Yeah. So,
And I did the walk off, and the rest just kept coming. And then eventually having Triple S and trying to, my network stuff really took off.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do both.
Right.
So I ended up taking in a partner who took in Triple S, and then Triple S just grew and grew and grew and grew.
Yeah.
So that's where we are now.
Yeah. Can we also talk about too, and like you mentioned Carl a couple times and other people that have been kind of part of this journey in certain aspects with you.
Yep.
To me, it's something where like in a lot of industries, you really, especially like entrepreneurial or like creative industries, like all that kind of stuff, it's very difficult to just do stuff by yourself. You know,
Impossible.
Like, it's impossible. You know, like I've noticed that, and that's why we've started to bring people on to like do tasks and do things. But obviously, having people like that in your corner that are kind of rowing the boat in the same direction as you for as long as they have in some cases, can we kind of talk about those people a little bit?
Yeah, I dropped their names. Carl Del Piano was a customer at Triple S. He ran a band called Ferro, and if any of the Jersey folks, they'll all know who Ferro was.
Yeah.
They're a big-time hair band. But I could see in him the way he ran the band, the creativity, the ingenuity, the uniqueness to the way that band operated and the way Carl operated within the band. Mm-hmm. Talk about dual personalities. The guy off stage and the guy on stage, not the same person.
Yeah, right.
It's total schizophrenia. But that became a thing.
Yeah.
So, and then we just get along great. We kind of have the same vibe. So
sure.
Carl is one of those. Steve DeFury, who I mentioned very early on. Steve and I grew together. Steve went out to L.A., amazing career out there, but we were both growing in that 1% of the high-end music industry. Mm-hmm. Steve was on the cutting edge of all the high things. Steve and I then actually, somebody had come to us and said, synthesizers, you two are the two experts who know how to do this. Steve is a very high level scientist-y kind of guy.
Sure.
And I'm a kid from Irvington, so I can speak real plain, but I have the ability to understand high-end.
Yeah.
So Steve and I partnered up perfectly. We ended up writing 15 books.
Oh, wow.
And again, that was
on synthesizers.
On synthesizers, on MIDI, because we were on the forefront of MIDI.
Yep.
All these things, I know we keep coming back to it, are things that didn't exist.
Right.
You weren't supposed to be, and I shouldn't have been involved.
Yeah.
But it's, okay, I'll go do that.
Yeah.
I'll go do that. And when Steve approached me, I'm severely dyslexic, and I was educated in Irvington. Writing books is not where I ever ended up being.
Yeah.
But the right people, the right time, as you said.
Right.
It's all a matter of having those. The editor, if I didn't have Joe Barron in my corner, I would have never been able, because he taught me.
Right.
And I leaned into him, and we kind of grew up. But there's those people all along that have, and I know I'm forgetting people as we're sitting here, but it's something I've ingrained in everybody that will listen to me. It's collaboration. Your life is collaboration.
Yeah.
Everything you do is collaboration. So that's the first thing you need to learn how to do is trust.
Sure.
And be careful, because there's a lot of buffoons out there.
There are a lot of buffoons and a lot of people that, are trying to take.
Oh, absolutely.
Not really bring anything to the table.
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question.
Okay, here's an answer.
When we're talking about all these things, and let's say there's somebody like watching or listening to this episode, and they're like, "Great, Joe, like I'm not friends with Ray Charles. I can't make this happen, or like you just right place, right time, right people surrounding you." But like you mentioned before, kind of like failures, you're good at that. Like,
I'm great at it.
Great at it, and I think that are there like moments in time where like there was a failure where you're just like, oh boy, this is, does it derail anything, or you're just like, fuck it, and just kind of like move on, so to speak?
Oh, good. We can say fuck it.
Oh, yeah, you can. I should have. It's a podcast about New Jersey. So,
okay.
So most people say fuck like 20 times, and then are like, is it okay if I curse? At least
I said F.
Let me drive.
I gave you the F.
Yeah, you said F that, right? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give you some of the famous ones. So I blew out the sound system at Carnegie Hall, an hour and a half before showtime.
Perfect.
That was a big one.
Yeah, that seems pretty big.
That's a big deal. How do you get out of that?
Yeah.
You better have a lot of friends in the industry, because Carnegie Hall was not happy.
No.
So I started making phone calls at like friends, SIR,
Yep.
and other rental companies, sound systems, friends that I knew, and we brought in gear.
Yeah.
And we covered the gig and got it done. It was terrifying, but that was definitely a major. Another major in broadcast was I'm very fidgety, and as you can tell, I talk pretty quickly, and I'm very fidgety. My hands are always moving. So in a control room, you know, you have different stations and you're all next to each other.
Right.
So I was producing, and I stand up and my hands were going, but next to me happened to be the lighting console. And I'm talking. And this was a live show, and the studio was out there, and we're looking in our monitors, and all of a sudden, the studio just novaed. It just went light, full blast. And me, being who I am, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Somebody get a handle on what's going on here.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 and I'm screaming. My lighting director's sitting next to me, and he goes, and he took the wheel, and he goes, don't hit my Grandmaster.
Yeah.
Grandmaster on a lighting board takes all the lights in one sweep. It's like a master fader on an audio board.
Yeah.
And I reached over, and I spun it. It's a ball kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I spun it and Nova the lights. And he very calmly said that. So I immediately rolled the ball all the way down.
Now it's pitch black. Yeah.
My talent at the time was genius. And then we finally got the lights back, and he goes, oh, okay, good. You know, we're out here in New York, and I guess we're having rolling blackouts.
Yeah.
And he said, but it looks like we're good for now, and we'll just keep going. I was like, oh, thank you, everybody. I mean, those are moments that that should have been the end of my career.
Yeah.
I should have just walked off and said, see, I got to go.
Yeah.
Can't come back ever again. I'll go back to framing houses.
Yeah, right. Well, because I think like it's important to talk about those things too, because it's like easy to. I think people that are either thinking about an entrepreneurial journey or something in a different field or whatever, it's easy to kind of just be like point at all the successes and be like, that's so much. Like there's so many things I have to do to get for myself from this point to broadcasting Giants games, or working with a Ray Charles, or even working at Carnegie Hall, like stuff like that. But then I think knowing that there's no straight lines in really anything. There's
not at all.
Zigzags and curves and turnarounds and whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And the production entertainment industry amplifies that 100-fold, because there's no entry point.
Right.
So you don't know how to get in.
Yeah.
And once you're in, you don't know how to move up.
Right.
You don't know what skills you need. There's no training. Like my wife's a physical therapist. She's constantly going back for continuing ed.
Right.
My accountants, continuing ed. Lawyers, continuing ed. Entertainment, no.
Nope.
Nothing. If you don't keep up, you're out.
Yeah.
So, but how do you keep up? So those are the instinctive or intrinsic things you have to start learning.
Right.
And you mentioned, Joe, you had Ray Charles. Oh, but I didn't.
Sure.
I didn't have any of those connections.
Yeah. It wasn't like you grew up with Ray Charles. He didn't grow up in Irvington.
No. No. If he did, he was really quiet about it.
Yeah, he never talks about it.
It wasn't in any of the bands I was in.
Yeah.
But it's the things that you have to just trial and error.
Yeah.
You go in. At this point in my career, because I've recognized that early on, I always made sure I took care of people around me. If I saw somebody who was eager, passion. If I see passion, I can teach you anything.
Yeah.
But I need passion.
Right.
Because this is a pain in the ass. You got to work. You got to work hard. And if you're not ready to do that, if you're not ready to think about this 24/7, you can't do it.
Can't do it.
It will eat you alive.
Yeah.
If that part of it is a problem, you're in trouble.
Totally.
I guess it's anything. If you're a surfer and you want to go pro, you got to surf all the time.
Right.
If you're whatever you want to do to become the best at it, or at least evolve into it, you got to do it constantly. So I look out for people, and a lot of the things we're doing today are helping not just the student moving in, or not just the 18, 19-year-old trying to get in, but convincing their parents, who are footing the bill for a lot of this stuff, that this is a career. You can do well at this. it's not like the careers you people probably have.
Sure.
But you have to learn how to. We can teach them how to do this.
Yeah.
And we've had enormous successes with our interns. A lot of my interns now are at the highest level in the industry, working on the farthest parts of the gear. And I take some pride in.
Sure.
But I don't take ownership of it.
Yeah.
Because they did it.
Yeah.
I just opened a door for them and showed them how to walk through it without being terrified.
Totally.
The Mayo Performing Arts Center is the heart of arts and entertainment in Morristown, New Jersey. MPAC presents over 200 events annually and is home to an innovative children's arts education program. To see MPAC's upcoming schedule of world-class concerts, stand-up comedy, family shows, and more, head to mayoarts.org or just click the link in our show notes.
Looking to buy, sell, or rent in Monmouth or Ocean counties? Megan Carroll of RE/MAX Elite brings local expertise and personalized service. Megan will make your real estate process smooth and stress-free. Bringing Southern hospitality to the Jersey Shore, call Megan today at 732-508-7402 or visit her website at mcsellsbythesea.com.
So can we talk about, since you touched on it, let's talk about it. Stuff that you're doing now. Ferro City, that kind of stuff. Let's talk about what that is and what its goals are and what it's all about and how you're working with people and helping people.
Okay.
I know we skipped a lot of stuff, but we'll get back to it.
Yeah. And I'll just summarize a lot of that stuff. What I did in broadcast, what I did in music, I did in theater, I did in live events. So I've been in all these environments. I see how they worked. I learned the language, which is very important. I learned the similarities, which very few people see, is that, oh, this guy's an audio guy. And, oh, so there's an audio guy in theater. Oh, there's an audio guy in broadcast. Oh, there's an audio guy in recording studios. And there's an audio guy in live events. Oh, and there's an audio guy at a wedding.
Sure.
These are all the same audio guy.
Yeah.
So what I've come to see with all of that opportunity that I've been given is how do I take the one-outs, the internships, and really make that the thing? Like, how do I do this on a big scale? Mm-hmm. Because I was in Colombia for a while, and I just found the most incredibly talented people, artists, collaborators, with no opportunity.
Sure.
And no idea how to move out and up. So it's a global thing. Once you get out of the cool United States, it's even harder.
Sure.
Because there's one channel.
Yeah.
There's two record labels. So with all of that, that's what Ferro City became. Ferro City became the concept of what can we do for the world? And I know this starts sounding grandiose, but it truly is my heart. Is I was given all these blessings as a destiny, and I can't not do this. I don't want to do this. I'm done. Right. I truly want to just hang out.
Yeah.
But that's just not what's going to happen. Right. So all those people that you were talking about, we've circled them together. People have come and go within the core group and building Ferro City, which is ferrocity.com. And it's a place where people can go to meet other people of the same ilk. You can meet people within the industry. You can network with legends. We have several TV series that we do, which is kind of a masterclass. That's the way everybody can understand it. But it's me interviewing legends in the industry.
Yeah.
And I don't mean legends like Beyonce. I'm talking about legends who's Beyonce's A1.
Right.
Who was the engineer who did that? Who invented robocams? Who's the guy who's behind the introduction of AI into whatever.
Sure.
So those are the people that you really need to meet, because the industry is made up of them.
Right.
And that's where you got to get out of your head that I'm going to be a director, I'm going to be a script writer, and I'm going to be an actor. Those are the only three positions that you can do creatively in the industry.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
Right.
There's thousands of opportunities.
Yeah. And I think that's something that people sleep on quite a bit, is just the fact that like you just mentioned, all the, like, even just taking different pieces of the industry, like theater or movies or broadcasts or TV or whatever it is, and being like an audio guy and then being able to do that across
Right.
all that. But I think even deeper than that, there's like so many like tentacles of just that one piece, you know,
Yeah.
across all those same
Yeah.
environments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're unveiling. I'm pulling the curtain back and saying, here, look around. Look at all the stuff you can do here. I've had so many people who've come to me who wanted to do A. Mm-hmm. Then when I introduced them to it and they got the chance to do it, they looked around and went, oh, wait, that's cooler.
Sure.
I want to go do that. And then they would do that for a little while, and that would lead them down another path. And it's like, oh, this is even cooler. So somebody who started working with me in a Latin recording studio is now working for Lucasfilms, doing crazy robotic stuff.
Yeah.
That was never on the radar.
Right.
It's just a matter of you climb a summit, you see more.
Yeah.
Then you climb the next summit, you see more. And you may get comfortable and say, I just want to do this. I just want to hang in this one place, which is fine too. It's choices.
Right.
I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Ferro City is my mind, my heart is give people choices. Give them the option. In the end, they may turn around and go, none of this is for me. Mm-hmm. I want to go work in the bakery because I just want to get up, go to work, go home, mindless, and then coach my kids' baseball team. Cool.
Great. Yeah. When we're talking about Ferro City and talking about how, you know, it's like giving people opportunities to connect or whatever, if I'm, or let's say one of the listeners or me or whoever is like, man, I really want to engage with Ferro City, and like, how do they start that process and like getting involved in what it is that you're doing with it?
Yeah, we are, as we speak today, we are on the precipice. Right now we're in what's known as a soft launch. We haven't told anybody about it. We're not doing anything.
So super soft.
Super soft. We're just going about it. We're working out the bugs, making sure when they get there. But within a couple of months, they'll be able to come to Ferro City. You can go there now. You can come to Ferro City. You can watch all these shows. We have hundreds of canned courses on things. We have mentors that you can interact with. So if you go there and you have questions, you can ask a one-out question, and you'll get a one-out answer. One of the things I'm very proud of is our AI, our search engines, only search our content, because there's a lot of stupid out there.
Sure.
So you just go out and ask Google some question, they're going to search the world.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of wrong answers.
A lot of buffoons out there.
A lot of buffoons.
Yeah.
Mostly buffoons. So as long as I know that the only information you're going to get is from us, so it's already vetted and it's already pure, because we are the industry.
Sure.
We make it happen. We are every aspect of it. In all of those sectors, as you just went down, it's television, it's broadcast, it's film, it's theater, it's live events. It's even like I keep going to the wedding thing because people overlook that.
Sure.
There's so much work there. There's so much opportunity that you can do and have the same rush.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at. Ferro City's. I am anticipating it to be able to, within a year, it's going to blow up. But I want it out of the United States. I want it around. I want to be able to penetrate all these other markets.
Yeah.
Because that's where I see a bigger need. It's a huge need in the States.
Sure.
Especially once you get out of the two coasts. There's not a lot of opportunities. You have pockets. You have Nashville. You have Chicago. You have pockets of coolness.
Right.
But the rest of the country wants to do this.
Yeah.
They want, especially now, every kid's a YouTuber. You can take your YouTube chops and become a real filmmaker.
Sure.
I got to go. Sirens. You can become a real filmmaker.
Yeah.
I don't know if they know that. I don't know if they're sitting here, you're doing a podcast.
Right.
That's sports talk.
Yeah.
You can go and do talk shows.
Yep.
Nothing is limited. And until you start thinking, oh, I can't do that.
Sure.
I'm not like blah, blah, blah. They weren't like you.
Yeah.
You can do anything.
I think, too, like what even people like me that do things and just kind of create it on their own, especially like with the way, at least from my experience, like seeing kind of how being more involved in the industry now than I was ever, because I never was selling insurance or doing whatever. Like, I think that sometimes people are like, oh, he didn't go to school for this, or he didn't do whatever, or he didn't work in this. But like, that's not, like, I've taught myself how to do all these things.
And you're very good at it.
Thank you. And it's not trying to toot my own horn, but I think that, like you said, like taking somebody's YouTube channel that you've worked on and you've taught yourself how to, like tape it. That sounds so stupid. Record it, like do the audio for it, make it look good, sound good, get it out to people, market it. There's so many layers to that whole thing that there's jobs there, there's opportunities there, and being able to show that to companies to be like, hey, I do this.
Right. And you said school. I'm not knocking school. School's a great place to get your hands on something, but they're really expensive.
Yeah.
And
it's a great place to drink beer and
I am one of many. I don't even look at a resume. Yeah. I have so many students who come to me and, oh, here's my resume, and I go, oh, cool, and I put it on the ground. I just want to talk to you. Like, what do you know? What do you don't know?
Right.
But I'm really just looking for your passion. I'm looking for your attitude. I'm looking for, are you going to gel with a crew? Mm-hmm. Because that's also really important. Because if you're socially inept, you're going to cripple a crew.
Sure.
Because we live together. We're together 16 hours a day in rough environments.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to know how to flow with that. So I know when to say, oh, you know what? You're an editor. You go in that room over there.
Yeah, by yourself.
And you just work on stuff.
Yeah.
And then come out and hand it to me. And then there's the people who are, you're a crew boss.
Yeah.
You got this, you got that, you got this style. There's a swagger to what you're doing, and you know what you're doing.
Right.
So, and so school doesn't teach you any of that.
Sure.
It has no real insights how to do all of that. It teaches you how to be a director, a screenplay writer, and an actor, but doesn't do anything after they teach you that.
Right. Yeah. So even with Ferro City, like, you're still doing all, or at least most of your other stuff that you've, like the production.
I'm still actively involved in the industry. I can't not be.
Yeah.
It
definitely
is
strike me as somebody that can't not be.
Yeah.
You just need to be like a shark. Just got to keep swimming. Kind of
It's a great. Yeah. I've been called that many times.
Yeah.
Because I do just keep moving. Because
Sure.
if I stop, I'm gonna die. My wife's not very happy about that.
Yeah.
But
she knew what she must
knew
have
what she
known
got. Yeah.
what she was getting into at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it is, but I love it. It's not work to me.
Right.
I love every bit. I love the anxiety. I love the pressure. I love when shit goes wrong, when it gets crazy. Honestly, that's when I'm at my best. When everything around me goes to hell, I just calm. I get very still. And everything goes in slow motion for me.
Yeah.
And I can just think very clearly. I usually sometimes have to go, everybody just shut the fuck up. Stop talking. I got this.
Yeah.
And then everybody just goes, okay. And then I'll figure my way out. Okay, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. People do analogies to, like, SEAL teams. They'll do analogies to, that kind of, I hate war analogies because what we do does not count.
No.
But the way you operate, I'd rather, and coming out of the music industry, which was another great aid for me. In the music industry, believe it or not, you do big tours. You're doing tours with 9 people.
Yeah.
Not counting the band. There's 9, 10 of you at most. When I came into television, there were 150 people. And I looked around and I was like, what the F does everybody do here? Why do you have a headset and a clipboard? Your headset's not plugged into anything.
Yeah.
And what are you even doing? And then I realized that's when I started Ferro Productions, which is my production company. And I came in and started undercutting everybody.
Yeah.
Because I cross-train. Another big thing that we didn't touch on is I am huge on cross-training. Music industry does it, taught me it. That if you're a drummer, you still have to wrap cables. You still have to carry, even though they'll fight you on it. The only ones who get away are singers. Singers don't have to do anything. They just go, hang out, be pretty, and go sit by the bar. But everybody else, has to work.
Yeah.
So you have to know how to set up your amps. You have to know how to set up the lights. You have to going back to the wedding people. They come in. They don't have a crew.
Right.
They have to do everything.
Yeah.
When we sat down, you just did everything.
Yeah.
That is cross training. You learn how to do that. You learn, okay, don't turn the lens on the camera like that because it looks stupid. I don't know why, but I'm going to just turn it back where it looks good.
Just make it look good and
Right.
sound good. That's all you got to do.
And mic checks. Everybody loves to tap on a mic. If
Yeah.
you're sitting next to me, I'll go, don't do that. That's going to blow the diaphragm in the mic. What?
Yep.
Just don't do it. Okay. That's like, I saved one more diaphragm in a microphone.
Yeah.
But you have to cross-train. Television is now getting to that point because it's cost-effective.
Sure.
Nobody has money. They make more money than God right now.
Yeah.
But they all claim poverty.
Yep.
So they want crews cross-trained. The problem was there's nobody to cross-train them. So you get buffoons teaching buffoons. And then it becomes the buffoons generation,
Yeah.
legacy of buffoons.
Right.
And that kind of is hard for us who know what we're doing to break that habit of people.
Sure.
And you go, that's a bad thing. You really shouldn't do it that way. All the way down to wrapping cable. I'm a freak for wrapping cable. But to this day, if I'm the executive producer on a show or I'm the production manager on a tour or whatever I'm doing, I don't leave until the last case is on the truck.
Yeah.
And I will go out and wrap cable with my people. Not for any other reason than we're all in this together.
Sure.
And you need to do it the right way. Because if you wrap cable wrong, when you get to the next gig and you can't grab an end and throw 100-foot cable and it completely unravels perfectly, you're going to spend the next half hour trying to tie knots out of it. Yeah. And that costs everybody time and money.
Did you see me take my cords out of my bag when I got here? Did it hurt you a little bit?
It did. Yeah. You want to know how much of a freak I am?
Yeah.
I was at my nephew's. They play for Phillipsburg in New Jersey. They're the football. So we went to their game, and I'm watching the marching band come out halftime. And they go out, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I'm looking around saying, I hear a flute. And I'm saying, there's no flute player out there. Where's the flute coming from? And then I heard a vocal. I was like, what's going on here? Then I realized they had tracks. So this is it's like every other music show now.
Yeah.
Go to the VMAs, there's no bands.
Right.
Everybody's there, but there's no bands. Nobody's playing. So, but at the end, the band's rapping and they're leaving, and there was one of the students, I guess, was pulling this 200-foot yellow or orange power cable. And she was just wrapping it around her arm and around her head and around her neck. She was just grabbing it. I have the picture. I sent it to everybody I know. I just with the word fired.
Yeah. Fired. Oh, man.
So anyway,
Yeah. Well, now I know when I put these cords away.
I'll put them away.
Okay. Well, you do one and I'll do one. You show me how to do it.
Okay.
Because, it seems pretty intuitive, but, I'm always, we got to get out of here. I just, grab them and throw them in my bag and get the
Okay,
fuck
well,
out.
you can do that.
Yeah.
But then when you get out there,
Sure.
put them away. Wrap
Yeah.
them nice.
Well, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to make excuses for myself. Okay, if people want to learn more about Ferro City, Ferro Productions, all that kind of stuff, where would you send them to go do that?
First pass, I'd send you to ferrocity.com. You can go to SSSelectronics.com. You can go to ferroproductions.com. And I keep saying .com because I'm old.
Sure.
So
I'm surprised you're not saying www.
HTTP
colon slash
www.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the World Wide Web.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not on AOL yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can go check any of that out. And honestly, if my email is joe@ferroproductions.com, hit me up. I love hearing from people.
Yeah.
I love helping people out. Like I keep saying, I've been blessed crazy, so it's my give back, and I have to do this.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, take that address, take my email address, and send me questions, send me answers. Hit me up. I'll meet you at the Nevada Diner for
Right.
lunch.
You will. He will. I know that for a fact, which we appreciate, of course. So I'll make sure that I put all those links that you just shared and the email address in the show notes. People just go click it and email to or write to the website.
You're gonna go,
whatever.
you'll go right to the
You know.
website. You'll
Yeah.
check it out. There's a bunch of cool stuff to look at. Some things. I also recommend if you're going to Ferro City, go to Ferro TV. That's a tab at the top. Go down and check out On Locations. There's some great interviews with some really cool people, and everything you and I have been talking about.
Yeah.
How people made it through the ranks, how they built their careers. Nobody was given the gift of their careers.
Sure.
We all kind of had to scratch and claw and find our way out. That's all in there. It's really cool stuff.
Yeah. And you could also listen to it on Radio Garden State at 8 o'clock, right? Is that the same stuff?
Yeah.
Crew calls?
Yeah.
Crew calls 8 o'clock, Radio Garden State every Monday.
That's
you.
cool.
Yeah.
Crew Call is an awesome show.
Yeah.
There's 4 of us who we started doing this. My son's amazing. He's been in the industry since he's 8. He's one of the high-end robo guys now, and he's all over the place. He's on I'm doing some heavy bragging on him. But it was him, a Steadicam op from CNN, and myself, and our host, Lou Rosalia. It's a funny-ass show.
Yeah.
And we gave you the audio, and it's out there, and it's cool. It's
Yeah.
fun. And it gives you the insights to the industry. Everything we're talking about, that's what all our shows are about.
Totally. Yeah. Love that. Well, that's 8 o'clock Mondays on RadioGardenState.com. Again, we'll put all Joe's links, his email address in the show notes. So you could just go click them, check them out, learn more, reach out, ask questions, all that kind of stuff. Thank you for doing
thank
this
you.
with us
This is
today.
awesome.
Yeah, this was so much fun.
Yep. And
I
now
mean,
you're coming on my podcast. You're coming on location with us.
Yeah, which is great because like I had to do all the work really for this one, like ask all the questions and set all the shit up, So at least now, next time I'll just show up and be like, I'll just answer questions this time.
Yeah. And you have one of those stories.
Yeah.
You are not supposed to be doing this
Definitely
right now.
not. No, everything that I've done my entire life should not have gotten me to this point doing what I'm doing right now.
But you're having fun.
Yeah, having a lot of fun. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Again, this has been the Greetings from the Garden State podcast powered by the New Jersey Lottery. We were here today at Triple S in Bloomfield, New Jersey with Joe Scacciaferro. I'm Mike Ham. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Ciao.